Hi everyone, Matthew here, and I'm excited to share with you what's new in Threadweaver 1.4. This version added a couple of settings to help you art direct your thread or fabric material even more. There are a couple of changes to the naming, not much to the actual functionality. So let's have a look at our Threadweaver interface here inside Redshift in Cinema 4D. On the right side, you're looking at the IPR window. It's running, and we're looking at a material with the basic settings applied in Threadweaver. I'm using thread A and B, ignoring C, and you get to see that I have color white and a bit of green here and some tiling added. So let's reduce the tile, get a closer look, remove that displacement to make the render faster, and have a look at what's new. So if you're new to Threadweaver, this is an OSL that helps you create a realistic fabric material with so many outputs here. With that being said, outputs, I added now height. You have control over height output that is separate from mask. So before I used the mask to connect the displacement and manipulate this using a ramp. Now there is an included output for height with 3 controls. Those controls will help you adjust the individual contribution for every thread section. So now I'm using only A and B. You get to pick the height of each one of those, and then that will reflect into your render. So yeah, height output, pretty cool. So now you can use the mask individually separate from adding the height. Next addition to that OSL node is the random dim. Now you can random kill from 0 to 1. 0, it's complete coverage of the canvas with this thread. The more your random dim until 0 coverage. So it's very helpful if you're trying to create a distressed fabric material or just adding some realism. Nothing is that perfect in real life. The third update to this version is transform X and Y per thread. So let me even decrease multiplier a little bit more. Now you have more control on how you want to align your threads to get even more art directable fabric and thread weaving. So now I can shift a little bit on the X direction without affecting B, same as in the Y direction. Say that you have fine-tuned your fabric, and let's change that pixel per UV so you get to see a little bit more gaps in here. And you want to control, let's have a look at phase. Now you can control A separate from B. So let's give this a little bit of gap here. So when we shift the B thread, you get to fill the blank space should you desire no transparency applied. Let's go back. Another addition is with that transform being added, now we have random offset on the Y and on the X. So now you can add more randomness for even more realistic fabric. As I mentioned, nothing is that always super perfect, super clean, that sells it as a CG image. Now you can also add some randomization to offset that applies to the 3 threads altogether, and you can change the seed. Of course, this is in addition to your random per tile rotation or random per raw rotation. Another change is the Premultiply. So before it was either on and off, now you can blend from on to off. So if you do not like this dark faded background at the end, so let's see, we're already on the color output. So you can have pure diffuse color with no shading effect. So when you're applying radial smoothing or tangential smoothing and you don't want it to affect the color, the Premultiply will only affect the color output, while your height will continue to have this smooth edges, but in the color output, should you design no black or whatever the background here. So if I choose in the base color under general, this is my canvas background color. If I want to Premultiply mix that, so now I'm mixing with the blurring this color. So yeah, that comes pretty handy when you want to get pure color fabric. Let's connect this displacement, have a look. Perfect. One last thing I wanted to show you is that you can use either image or any node from your render engine, whatever render engine that you're using that supports this OSL node, let's say tiles. You can use any of these nodes to drive whatever settings in here. So I have here a Fresnel node connected to a ramp. I probably will connect this to the gap phase A. So let's get a color output from this OSL. I'll get to the Fresnel node and you'll get to see that it's changing the gap phase on these areas. So let's get it in a better way. Let's kill color A on the perpendicular angle. So yeah, so you get to see that, and we can even increase this effect. Pretty cool if you're trying to create a velvet look and you want to have the super controlled fuzz kind of look in here. Another thing, let's try to connect the image instead of that. So let's do it here. The cool thing is that the transition still shows that it's being thread. So it's pretty realistic the way you want to tune it in. Comes in very handy. Let's do another one with the color B. So yeah, the sky's the limit. You have a very controllable OSL node here that supports mapping of all these values. And yeah, I'm excited to share this with you guys. It's available on my Patreon page, and I would love to see your work with this OSL node. Thanks for watching. Until next video. See you later.